Thanks again for staying with us on your ultimate news and current affairs program on television this morning on ITV. As usual, we call it TMI. A few days ago, a young man from Edo North Senatorial District, specifically from Kokoedo, posted an online video where he detailed the shabby job done on a link road in Igara. The young man came out to say he was particularly disappointed and dissatisfied with the quality of job done. He went as far as actually digging up the side of the road to demonstrate the fact that the job was not properly done. Now, he did that video essentially just to show to the world that this job was not properly done. But little did he know that immediately he did that video, it was going to turn things around, so to speak, because immediately that video was uploaded and it went viral. Edo State government, led by the deputy governor, or the government arm, the executive arm of government led by the deputy governor, led a team to Igara and immediately took over that project, and that's attracted a wild applause from all and sundry. But the young man in question wasn't satisfied, because according to him, he had also done on that same day another video of a primary school in that community that has been dilapidated. The roofs blown off, no chairs, no tables, the buildings collapsed. Why didn't the government also take up the responsibility of building that primary school? He expected the same speed and agility displayed in taking over the road project should have been extended to the primary school project. That leads us to our conversations today on TMI as we look at accountability in governance and the impact of social media. I'm joined now in the studio by a civil society activist, is also a politician, former member of the Oredo Legislative Assembly, Comrade Harrison Izeko. Harrison, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers.
We also have with us in the studio civil society activist, the programs officer, Foundation for Good Governance and Social Change, in charge of research and development. I'd like to thank very especially Shedrack Udubai. Shedrack, thank you for coming. Zachary Idris is also a public affairs commentator. He will be joining us shortly on this conversation. But let's give a background to the discussion, gentlemen. Social media, in spite of the seeming challenges with it, because it looks like an unregulated space. It is an unregulated space as far as we know it today. But when certain things happen, you want to appreciate the fact that there's such a platform called social media. Otherwise, certain things won't be attended to. Otherwise, certain things will not be brought to the public domain. What are your perspectives on social media?
Well, I want to thank God, because if not for these recent developments, we will still be living like people live in the jungle. You know, around the late 80s, 90s, things like this were not in existence. So even early 2000. So when issues happen like this, we cannot actually get the full information. And well, it's not controls and the space of information, but the advantage of social media cannot be overemphasized. Like the video we saw, the young man who was doing that at that beginning never knew that by the time he shared that video, the whole world will be attracted to the video. He was able to do the recording from the beginning of the road to the end of the road. It was very clear that the people were doing that job, they were not ready to do anything there. Because I've never seen where you can have a gutter or a culvert in between road. There is no gutter from the beginning, there is no one ending, you just put a culvert there, and you were doing drainage without even rod. The young man was using his hand to pack those things off. And because of that video, you find out that so many attractions, even when I saw it, people were commenting. Even outside this country, people were commenting. To the extent that people are even deep to go and get the the letter of award of that contract.
To know the contractor.
To know the contractor, to know the cost of the project. That tells you that social media is a blessing to this present generation. We also know that they have the disadvantage part of it. But the advantage, in as far as I'm concerned, I think it outrun the disadvantage. Because recently, you found out this issue of NSACs. It was through the same social media we were able to get information about most of the things that happen. We also know that most of the information there might not be correct, but to some extent, they give a clue to what is happening there. We saw people were able to record even when the army were shooting, you understand? And even when this issue of SARS brutalizing Nigerians in the name of want to see your phone, we are able to get some persons who have advantage, who record the scene, and people from that area you can judge. For me, I think it's a blessing to our generation. But for those of us, we also know that whatever we do, in everything we're taking, have a consequence. For this is a blessing. Okay. But if you go the other way around, when you now begin to move into people's privacy without their consent, you should know that it's laborious when you do such thing. Be ready for the consequence. But we must do what is right and balance it. If somebody is recording you when you are doing a public job, and you feel that you are angry, why is the person recording you are doing a bad job? All Nigerians should take example from this young man. Even if it's not our area, even if it's not our business, we should try and make sure that ensure that the right thing is being done. We cannot get to the government, we cannot get to IT all the time, but let's use the social media.
All right, so I'll get to that point because there's something that actually came forth from this video that went viral recently. But let me get your perspectives. Yeah.
The social media, as it has evolved today, is obviously a veritable media, a veritable platform for whereby persons are able to ask questions to these seemingly invisible governments, hold them accountable, and get some form of sustainable change. What I've observed over the years is that the social media, as it has been come to know as a new media, has transformed its audience from being passive readers to now being some form of active contributors in the process. They have evolved from mere consumers of information to now be information creators themselves. And I see this thing play out over and over again in some sets of stages. At first, they now have the capacity to not only consume, but also consume and regurgitate information in such a way that when information goes back into the mainstream media, it is now a reflection of their identity, their interest, their yearnings, aspirations, and other aspects of social expectations. And as such, when this information goes out, beyond that, they are not able to reflect who they are and what they believe in this aspect of the information dissemination. When you take it a step further, they now have the capacity to connect by way of meeting persons of similar ideas and opinions. And the social media at this point now becomes a platform for interpretation, to interfere with persons of similar ideas, whereby opinions are sampled and ideas are being cross-fertilized. And beyond that, they take it a step further. They're now able to mobilize themselves to take action. That is to say, they now have the capacity to move and profile solutions to these seemingly obvious challenges that have bedeviled their rural and domestic environments. When we observe the way and manner this is being handled and these issues are being brought to bear, we begin to see that the social media has taken a very key role in the dissemination of information. One thing I would like to show you is that this whole process has now taken different dimensions. The organogram of dissemination of information is now being fragmented. The person who conceptualizes the ideas or brings this information to public domain or tells this story perhaps does not in itself, among those people who post or repost information, he generates this information. He will just go home and sleep. While the person who believes that this idea resonates with him intrinsically, he shares his worldview, he shares his perspective, he's not able to post, repost, share and comment, giving traction to this information. And the man, the group of persons, the government who takes this, who comes into play to provide solution, may not have partook in this previous exercise. He comes in, engages the vision, and provides solution. And there have been data that have been proven over time that when pieces, because the platform provided by the social media as a space for civil engagement is profound. And it has been shown that when people engage in policy and news by way of comments, offering solutions, alternate ideas, they are being engendered to participate actively in community development and the process of democracy, which organically thrives on participation. So the social media I have come to see is germane, despite its irregularities, despite its drawbacks, which we'll also go ahead to discuss and x-ray. I've come to see that has taken the frontal stage in information dissemination, the way and manner government is being perceived by the people.
Okay. Let me thank Idris Zakari for us joining us on the program. Idris, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get your perspective. I mean, by way of foundation on the influence, the impact of social media in holding government and governors accountable to policies and to programs, using the viral video of Akoko-Edo Road Project as a case study.
That is, it's easy to see that it's no longer business as usual for politicians. Although, you know, politicians in their usual manner have a way of influencing everything, and they're already influencing social media. But on the larger scale, it's no longer business as usual. In the social media space, everybody is a journalist, a qualified one at that.
That's a self-imposed qualification.
Yes,
self-imposed qualification.
And you know, everybody is an expert in their various fields of. In every field, he's a jack of all trade, master of all. You know, it used to be jack of all trade, master of none. So we, in this particular area, you see the way the young man put the video up, analyzed the issues, engaged with the issues, brought out the pros and the cons, showed, for real, you could see it with your bare eyes, that this is low quality project, that you cannot tender anywhere, that cannot pass any test, any integrity test whatsoever. However, you see the way politicians have also hijacked it, because he talked about two major things, and the politicians chose one and left the other, because that other one does not suit their narrative. It is this particular one, the road now, that suits their narrative. The primary school is there also, that is dilapidated in his own community. And I want to commend this young man, because he has shown a man who is at home with his community, who is involved in the development, day-to-day development of his community, and will not take anything less. We should all be like that in our various communities. We should all be like that. We should question government. We should hold government to account. We should check projects. We should ask questions. Because if we leave it to the Odion ways and the elders of the communities, the politicians and the elders, they have a way of meeting. They have a meeting pot. They have a way of coagulating and working together. But those of us who are the ultimate, who are those who will suffer poor projects, are the ones who should be looking more in-depthly now.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's take it from where he stopped. Two projects were highlighted. One, the road project. The other, a school project. There was an immediate effect and alacrity approach